I am happy to have New York State Assemblyman Graf, representing Suffolk County District Number 5 since 2010 with us today, and Representative Graf is going to give us an opportunity to feel what it's like to have a bullying law, and he's going to describe it fully. But first I want to throw it over to him. Pete Olderchuk is on his left, and to my left, of course, Assemblyman Graf. So your credentials, sir?
Well, right, I'm a Navy veteran. I'm a retired New York City police officer. I have a degree in elementary education. I have a law degree from Torah Law School. I've worked for the Legal Aid Society as an attorney, and I have my own law practice also.
Busy guy.
So my wife likes to tell me I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
But it gives me a lot of perspective when we're in Albany and looking at different issues.
Sure, the experience.
Yeah, right now I sit on the Judiciary Committee, I sit on the Codes Committee, which actually reviews the laws that are coming through,
Right.
and I'm the ranker on Codes.
Okay, is it codes and ethics still, or is it?
Codes is all the, like the penal law, when they're changing the penal law.
Okay.
And, you know, the rules of the court is the Judiciary.
A sweeping state law that targets school bullying takes effect July 1st, I'm guessing it was this year, putting students on notice that tormenting their peers won't be tolerated and setting standards for districts to back that up. The recent years on the news has really played up a lot of what's gone on with bullying. It's been a very big topic, and I think it's appropriate and fair to do that, because when I see it, it hurts. It hurts to see it.
I saw last summer, before session started, I saw there was a news article with a young girl that was bullied, and she was actually standing on a platform for the subway. It was in Staten Island. And she texted something and handed it to her friends. And she says, "I can't take it anymore." And she jumped in front of a train. And you know what? The bottom line is, you know, I looked right there and I called my bill drafter and I said, enough is enough, all right? And I took a look at the harassment laws. And the harassment laws have not kept up with technology. So you don't include texting or Facebook or all that other stuff.
And that's all recent stuff.
And you know, it comes to a point in time where the legislature does have to step up. And you know what? High school is a tumultuous time for kids. Parents have to step back, and especially if their child is bullied. You know, we have to talk to our children and say, look, you know, we love you, you do have value, and you have value in the future. And the only one that can make you feel bad about yourself is yourself. You give people permission, all right? You have to stand up and you have to know the value. Everybody has a different, how can I put it? My one daughter, right? She can pick up any instrument and play something. Most of us can't do that. My other children may have been good in sports. But I've had episodes with them where, you know, they moved to a new school, they got bullied, and I think it's up to the parents. And one of the things I try to tell them is, look, kids are cruel in high school, but once you're out of high school, once you're done with that, life is a lot different. College is a lot different, okay? The real world is a lot different.
But I guess it could set the tone if a kid in high school starts to feel the impact of what bullying might happen to them. The learning goes on.
Yeah.
It's easier, yes.
Well, the schools have to step up on this and make sure. Look, when I was a teacher, you know, I taught in the classroom. If I had a kid bully another kid, I would stop in the middle of the classroom and I would make the child stand up that did the bullying, and I'd ask the rest of the class, does anybody here think he's funny? All right.
Dead silence,
and
right?
I go, see, that didn't work for you if you wanted to laugh. I don't put up with that in my classroom. You have two choices. You can walk over there right now and apologize, or walk down to the principal's office, because I don't need you in here. So, I mean, teachers do have to step up. There's a saying at in my kids' school that they had that I loved, and it was, you don't have to blow my candle out to make yours shine brighter. You know, and you have to understand, most people that bully, they have self-esteem problems, and they're trying to deflect away from themselves. So when they're bullying other kids, right, that's because they're afraid of some inadequacy that they may have. But you have to get parents to step up too and say it isn't right. You know, the new generation, if you look at the new generation, they actually do change. Like, if you looked at when we went to school, okay, there were certain things that people would say in schools that would not be correct today. And the students today actually stand up. And if somebody's saying something inappropriate,
Right.
they will sit there and peer
Come to
pressure
their defense.
to say, that's no, if a racial slur today in a public school, the students will turn around and tell
Right,
them that's
right.
not acceptable. Well, we need the students, we need to inform them, we need to educate them.
But yet bullying still does occur, so you're going to cover the part where they can advance the situation, where the enforcement and the application of guidance.
Right. Well, the idea is to make an example. You start making examples that this isn't going to be tolerated, and once that takes root, hopefully we can weed it out a little bit. So there's a lot of things in the bullying bill. It's not only that, there are other parts of it too. But the idea is to say it's not acceptable behavior. There are consequences to this type of action.
Stopping point, that's good.
Right.
That's good.
And, you know, but the biggest thing I can tell you is we have to get to the schools, we have to get to the kids, and to say, listen, if somebody's bullying somebody, step up. I mean, they would not sit back and let another person talk inappropriately to, you know, one of their peers in schools if it had racial overtones. Well, there's no difference with bullying either, and they should step up and say, enough.
In a lot of ways, the bullying can be more serious. You had a personal situation you wanted to talk about, right?
And by the way, I want to thank both of you for stepping up to the plate when I said I came across an incident in my own personal life and trying to help other people dealing with bullying in a school district and getting no response, nowhere near close to what the law is asking for in compliance. Reporting, recording, anything, not even getting an alternate parent involved. The bullying child's parent was not involved, at least not that, as far as we knew. The school district wasn't even fully aware of what the law required them to do and did nothing in compliance. It went further when I started to talk to several people in the mental health field, and they weren't aware of required certification and training on their part. So here we have legislation that's out there that was passed with goodwill intending legislators, but not enough mandates or controls put in place to make sure that a single child is protected. This is just out there, almost like a Bible in a world of non-worshipers.
There's some language we're looking at that you passed along for me, you know, looking at some other acts and the Dignity Act, for instance, and it seemed to me that the language was soft because it seems like on its face, how do you apply to kids acting out emotionally? But we have to do something, right? You can't just let it sit there.
I don't see it being soft when you look in the eyes of a crying, injured child.
I meant the repair aspect
It's
to what
the repair
enforcement there
aspects,
is.
Everything that the law says
It just
is
doesn't
really
seem
good
strong enough.
if it's lived up
Is
to,
it?
if it's followed.
What were you
But
saying
it's
about
not
that?
followed.
That you felt it was,
Well, if you looked at the harassment laws, I mean, they don't cover texting, they don't cover the electronic.
so they have to keep
And
up.
a lot of that's going on. I mean, look, there was a time where you could leave the classroom, right, or leave the school and leave your tormentors behind. But now what happens is with Facebooks and texting and everything like that, it goes on further. You know, children attack other children on the internet all the time, whether it's
Right.
Facebook and stuff. And what I did is I have a bill out there that would strengthen the harassment laws. And all it does is say, it changes the wording to say by any electronic means, all right, which would include Facebook, would it include Twitter, would it include
Phones.
texting, yeah, telephones and everything. So, I mean, we do have to take a look at it, but I mean, I've put out things on my website. There was actually a video, and I should put it up when I go back again. There was a video that was put on by students with a song.
How long is it? I might be able to use it.
It's probably around 2 minutes.
Oh, that's
2 minutes
that's
long.
possible. If I can get a hold of that.
And it was a video that actually, when you watched it, it brought tears to your eyes. And it was done by children, all right? And the children actually put the video together. I think they were high school kids. And it was so powerful, it was unreal.
I'm gonna see if you don't mind. I'd like to try to use that for the show. If it's okay for a small
It's not
segment.
my
of it.
video, it's on the internet.
Oh,
But it was
yeah,
a very
well,
powerful very powerful video. Look, you know, and I could be, my youngest daughter was bullied, all right? But what I did is I always made sure that, you know, I told her I loved her. I told her the value that she had. I looked at the things that she had, was able to do, and said, look, you know, you have a contribution to make.
Carry your
Like
assets.
my daughter, as far as art and everything like that, she's fantastic with it. All right, like I said, she can pick up an instrument, and you know, just by playing with keys, she can play the theme from the Titanic on either a guitar or, you know, everybody has a special talent. And I think it's up to the parents to turn around to their children and say, look, this is what you're good at. This is what you can do. This is what you need to concentrate on. And remember, the people that are bullying you, you let me know. Let me take care of it. Let me walk down to the school, okay? Because the one thing I was never was, you know, shy when it came to my kids. But the bottom line is up to parents, you know, also to sit there and be the advocate for their children.
Do you think the average parent is contemplative of the emotional impact of what their child is going through, other than the immediate reaction of hurt? I mean, you know, to what to do, you know, to how to go forward with a,
Well, you know,
maybe with harassment or a police effect or anything like that, for that matter?
You can file a harassment charge, you know, but if it's a kid in high school or something like that, it's going to wind up in family court. But I think what we need to do, and people in my position need to do, and that's what I've been trying to do, is to reach out to school districts to talk about this. Okay, maybe talk to the student groups, right? Focus. We need to focus. Look, I give you the example all the time. And if you have a young person, you know that if you go into a school and you if you call somebody by a racial name in school, okay, you use that type of name calling, all the kids will step up and they will sit there and say to you, that's not acceptable. We've done that in the schools. We've educated kids. We've put that into programs. What you need to do is do that with bullying. Say, listen, you need to step up. You need to say that that's not acceptable.
It looks like the same
And if
thing.
somebody's bullying another kid, right, then and if the students all walk up, he's not going to get the self-gratification. Remember, bullies are looking for attention. Bullies are looking, you know, they have some inadequacy about themselves, so they're trying to get acceptance through picking on another kid or picking on another person, all right?
Right.
And what we need to do is educate our schools to really focus on this. I think we're starting to get there. We're starting to get some stuff in there, but
I
you
saw
know,
some stuff about Islip School, I think, and also Bayshore. Easton, Suffolk, BOCES, all trying to implement programming and from the superintendent down, but reflecting off of the bill's information and also the Dignity Act, which I guess was the precursor for some of this stuff.
well, you got to get the kids involved. You've got to get the kids involved in a program. You have to have, you know.
Is that in your bill? Is that the bill that's
No,
is not in there?
No, this is something that we just talk to schools. We talk to everybody. If we can get the children involved in the school, right, it permeates throughout the school district, and that's the best way to do it. I mean, you can threaten all you want. We can put in all the laws we
Right.
want. We need to change attitudes. If we could change attitudes and we can do this,
It's more effective than a law.
that
Yeah.
we've done. If we can get schools
To a
to get
degree.
kids involved, to say bullying, you know, it doesn't work. It's
Right,
you shouldn't be doing it.
Like the race analogy
Right.
you made before.
That's
yeah.
what we need to do. Once you do that, then you're going to eradicate it. You know, we can pass all the laws we want, all right? But it's like sort of like winning the hearts and minds.
The nature of a child is like, especially between, I'm going to take a guess of round numbers like 9 and 15, is very developmental at that time. There's a lot of peer pressure to join forces with other people who may be bullies, for instance. So a bully will find a place if he has a friend in some other area. There's a connection between the peer relationships and bullying and in the schools. So one person in a group can transfer that information over to a more younger or a more pliable mind, and that person can attempt to bully. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's transferable.
Chris,
So you
I
can
went
become a group.
I went through another scenario where everything went as far at this point where sitting down with the bullying child's parent was required because the school wasn't going to do anything. The attacks became too personal. It was necessary at that point, and it was electronic. agreement, agreement, agreement. The other parent didn't keep his word, not even close to it. I think the involvement needs to go further back to the old-fashioned way of every element that is in a child's life, from the school to the family, because you can't discipline a child that's going to go home and no one's going to hold them responsible for what they're doing. You have more and more kids doing that. We're having shootings in schools. We're having assaults in schools.
Al said before they was using the parents as one of the focuses on where to go also, right?
Right.
It's not just the kids.
I think there need to be some mandates by the law where a parent will be legally held liable and responsible every which way their child behaves when it comes to injuring another child.
That's hard to do. Isn't that hard to do?
Well, I think you can lobby your school board, you can lobby your school to put some type of program.
Pressure. Some kind of,
And if they start putting different programs in there, these are the types of things. You do have impressionable minds. So what you can do is you can get the student body, if you can get them involved, if you can get them working towards it, if you can start, like anything else, they'll have slogans for schools and everything else.
right, right.
If the
Catchy slogans,
if the teachers get involved and get the students involved and they start talking about this, you're going to change. Look, like I said, there are a lot of things in schools. This is lagging. That they've changed behaviors, they've changed attitudes. Okay, going through school districts and everything like that, and political. And this is the next part of it. If we can get the media involved in it, which you're trying to do here.
Right.
If parents have to approach their school districts and say, look, can you do some type of program? Can we bring awareness to this? I mean, look.
I guess awareness is going to help a great deal,
Well,
because
we could
how do
pull
you do a
that video.
step-by-step here? The video seems like it was a good
Well,
idea.
if you could pull that video, I mean, you remember what it is? I'm sorry, my age's old. Doug, do you know where that video is?
We get it.
All right, we're more than happy to give you the video, and it was done by students. And it is heart-wrenching, but it sends a powerful, strong message. And I think that's what you need to do, all right?
Yeah.
Like I said, you could pass all the laws you want in the world.
This was a video that basically included the other kids or children who were
Well, it was
defending.
students actually
Yes,
put
yeah.
this video together, and that's what I'm trying to
They
talk
did it on
about.
their own.
Yeah, and there are different groups out there. There are students out there that are actually, they have programs that they brought to their schools.
Oh.
So you want to turn around to your school and see if
And
you
do
can
the
get
same
them
type
to
of thing,
adopt
sure.
the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And if enough parents step up and say, look, we want this brought out, we want this as an environment in our school, we want our kids to be involved in something like this, to show that kind of behavior, isn't acceptable. And remember, you want to show them or get the children that are in the school not to feed into the bully.
Right.
To basically, if a bully is sitting there and trying to increase their status by picking on another child, right, where he doesn't get that or she doesn't get that, basically she gets the opposite. You don't want reinforcement for
That's
bad
right,
behavior.
that's right, yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to reinforce that type of behavior is not acceptable, right? And we've got to get other kids to stand up and say, that's not funny. Or other kids to stand up and say, yeah, you're only picking on her because you don't feel good about yourself.
What happened with your situation with the other parents didn't seem to be responsive, you had said before.
They didn't care. Turns out there were narcotics involved on one parent, so they were separated, and on the typical social problems we're dealing with today that result in school shootings.
Transferring the information that we're all talking about today to a parent that's unwilling.
Right.
What delivery system does that get to the kid? It won't help the kid.
School
will it?
district has the ability to eliminate that type of behavior from a school. It's called suspension. They have everything already in place. But I think the biggest problem is that most parents today, such as the ones that I dealt with that came to me for help, weren't aware that this was out there. The bill itself is 85 pages of fine print and a lot to read. But this brochure that's available just by Googling Dignity Act NYS, these 2 pages and 12 little paragraphs, anyone that looks at this says, holy smoke, they're not compliant, can walk into a principal or guidance office and hold their feet to the fire by saying, if you don't fix this problem, I'll be back with my attorney, as the Assemblyman said, litigation is a remedy that is available there.
You both seem to be on slightly different edges of the same subject. It seems to me like he's talking about more of an inclusion with the students themselves, or the youthful receivers, and you seem to be implying that maybe some kind of enforcement might be required.
I'm on the victim's side. The anger of the victim is with me. Okay, the force be with me.
I can feel that.
Correct. We need legislators to keep their cool, legislate and guide and steer the system.
I don't think enough people
in the
know
right direction.
to then being received. My only issue about the subject you're bringing up here is the enforcement when I don't think the information is solid enough with the family, with the parents and with the kids.
Look, I think where we're coming from here is he's looking as an advocate for the student. What parents should do and what parents can do as an advocate to step up and protect their child. That's where he's coming from. What I'm saying is, I don't disagree with that.
Right.
If it's my child, trust me, I'm going to be down there. I'm going to be making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
I'm looking at how do we change the environment? How do we change, the way you look at it, most parents, and the parents that don't help you out, they'll tell you that's just about being a kid.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right. That's right.
You have the kids in school that, are supposedly
This is
the
where I
cool
was going with
kids, and
that.
you have the other kids. And the bottom line is, you know what? If you're really one of the kids that are a leader in the school, and you're really a child that, is maybe popular in the school, and you want to be a leader at another time, this is where you lead. This is where you get other people involved. A lot of times what you'll get is you'll get a child that's popular in the school, right, and maybe involved with student government, maybe involved with
Sports or something
else, and they turn around and they're the ones that lead the conversation. They're the ones that get everybody else to step up and say, look, we're going to do this program. They're the ones that may say, look, I have no problem in my school district. I'm sure I can get sponsors and everything else if they want to turn around and start doing T-shirts and stuff like that. And you know what? Maybe that's the way to offer that to them. Let's talk about a program. Let's talk about
Leadership. It's a leadership thing. I think will help assist at all. Because when I was in 6th grade, I was elected as a lieutenant in the people police, and all we did was little stuff like this. When somebody had a problem, we go over and talk to them, help them through their problem or whatever it might. That's leadership role you're referring to, and I think that's what you started out with, and I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Give the people within minor league power, like a sportsman or a good musician or somebody who has some kind of recognition in the school already, and he gets to be a helper on these issues, right?
I think if you look at the kids on student government and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
and that's another
that
way
want to
do
get
it.
involved, you might want to talk to them and say, you know what would be great, let's do a campaign. Let's talk, you want to do something different, right? You want to bring attention, you want to sit there and really unite our school district. Let's start this campaign.
Great
Let's do
idea.
a thing about bullying. And if you do it in a positive way, if you do it in a way that, you're giving them control, you're giving them, and what do you think? You wouldn't accept people saying this or people saying that. Why would you accept this? And you know what? Our school can be a shining example here. And our kids can be a shining example that we're going to have a bully-free zone, okay? In our school. Our school is going to be, and you know what? We're not going to reward behavior that's hurting somebody else. I mean, look, I have a good relationship with my school districts, I'll start talking to them, see if I can get them engaged, see if I can get sponsors and stuff like that for them, and maybe I can take a look at some of the programs. There are some programs out there. Maybe we can get them into the school. Maybe we can maybe we can do an example by me talking to the school districts and asking them if we can see if the students are interested in something like this. Okay, maybe
I
can go
guarantee
in,
you'll have some interest.
maybe I can go in there and talk to them when the first class comes back out. We'll put together a presentation. But maybe that's the way to start it. Maybe if we
I
can
think
get
you
the
got a
ball
good point
going.
to start it out early in the season, in the
Right.
school year, I'm sorry, before you get underway.
That's it. These programs are good, and to be honest with you, one of these programs is in place in one of these schools that I dealt with.
Right.
One of the bullies happens to hold a chair position on the student committee. Children can be cruel, and they can be conniving also. So the monitoring level has to be quite professional on the mental health level. I don't think taking a gym teacher and saying you're in charge without professional training, which the bill does mandate, by the way, the current bill, without proper professional training is going to be properly supervised. I mean, the prize at the end of the tunnel on all of this, you know, the brass ring on the carousel is no shootings and assaults in our schools. We're going through a rash of these things, and they're getting worse and worse, and there's nothing in place to make them better. And this is a very good solution, but it has to be proactive, and it really needs to be professional. Otherwise, it's like going to court being your own attorney.
A coordinated effect is something I think will work, but is this a statewide effort here?
Well, no, this is something that I'm talking about, just seeing if we can get the ball rolling.
Right.
This is something where I can do. There are programs out there on bullying. Okay, what we have to do is, look, in teaching I learned child psychology. In the police department we called it was hook the person's child. What you need to do is in some way try to put together something where the students actually adopt it.
Right.
If you can get the students to adopt a
Right.
thing, bully-free, you know, a bully-free zone, if you can get the students to take this on, if you can get and change the attitudes, and if you can get people talking, but you're going to have to keep it going. You're going to have to do something. The school's going to have to be involved. Something we can look at, something we can try to do. Let's see if it works. You know, let me talk to some of my schools and see, you know, my aide Doug is here with me today, and Doug has got a degree in education also. So, I mean, you know, there are probably things we can do, but there's a message that you got to send out to parents too. Your parents have to be an advocate for your children if he's being bullied. The biggest thing is, look, walk up, hug your child, right? Emphasize the positive things. Everybody has a talent. Emphasize the talent that your child has, right? Tell them that they matter. Tell them that they're important, right?
And tell them they have a long way to go.
And let them know that most bullies bully only because they don't feel good about themselves, all right? So they're trying to deflect anything that they don't feel about themselves to you, you know? So go on the positive. You know?
Well, I am on the positive side in the long run.
Right.
I feel that the system needs to be reinforced with
Right,
more of an
working on it.
agenda for development and improvement. Just like, for example, polio vaccination. Once the first generation is vaccinated, the next generation doesn't have it. So we have a new bully law that's in place, but we do not have a skill factor involved in administrating it. That needs to be improved because the bullies today in high school, in 3 years, are going to graduate. They will not be there.
We got to wrap this up. I'm sorry, but
Right,
you know
okay.
what? I think your politics and change sometimes happen slower than it should.
Right.
Your topic and your interest and your programs here seem to be a lock on. This is what we should do. I don't have any question about it. I think it's the right thing to do.
Right.
But change happens slow.
Right. And you have to change the attitudes. If
Yeah.
you can change the attitudes. But, you know, I don't think we're far apart here.
No, I
At
think
all.
No. I just slightly.
I just
yeah.
think we're looking at it in two different, I'm looking at
Yeah.
it for the long run, but I'm agreeing with you that every parent should be an advocate for their child.
And the goal in the long run is the same. That's the whole thing. Thank you very much, Al Graf, New York State Assemblyman, and Peter Oleshuk. Thank you very much. At FIT, you know you cannot get this information on your own, so we'll bring it to you every week. And societal and political trends are rapidly breaking down the family that once was the cornerstone of our great American culture. So we'll see you next week for some more of this. Thank you.